Welcome back to the Gardening with Joe and Holly radio show. Thank you for being with us today and keeping us company on the radio. Watering is a challenge for many people, Holly. And some people overwater, some people underwater, and some people forget to water altogether. And the tree diaper can fix all three of those scenarios very easily.
Yeah, if your plants could talk, they would tell you about how they...
Well, first off, your plants can talk. That you should get that on video.
Yeah, definitely. They tell you about how maybe they're not being properly watered, either too much or too little, overwatering or underwatering. And most of the time it's underwatering. How do you water properly? You take the guesswork by using the tree diaper. Tree diaper is a revolutionary watering system that stabilizes soil moisture by taking up excess water and slowly releases it when plants need it. The tree diaper is filled with water from rain or when you water and slowly releases water over 3 weeks. No pipes, hoses, or electricity needed. Whether you're a first-time gardener or advanced, tree diaper will improve the way you water your plants. Made in the USA, you can find all the sizes they have available at treediaper.com. That is treediaper.com, made in the USA.
Now, lawn care. Now, I don't say this very often about a segment on this program, but if you don't care about your lawn, still listen, but you don't have to take notes. If you or you take notes to impress the people who have lawns that care about them. Lawns are a means of which people take a lot of pride on, spend a lot of money on to make them as picture perfect as possible, magazine cover perfect, and nobody's allowed to walk on them. Anyway, so we're going to go over some lawn care maintenance here for the spring. And even if you don't really care about your lawn, there's some things in which you can do to allow the lawn to still grow, even if it may just be weeds or foxtail or creeping Charlie, whatever the case is. Crabgrass, yeah. One is tune up your lawnmower. Nothing is worse for a blade of grass than to get gnawed off by a blunt blade on a lawnmower. And it actually causes the lawnmower to work harder to do the job. So if you are not savvy or feel like you're capable of taking the blades off, take some time, take the lawnmower to a certified mechanic or somebody you trust and get those blades sharpened, get the lawnmower tuned up, make sure everything's working properly. One, so it will work when you need it, and two, it makes the job a lot easier and safer.
Absolutely. You having properly operating tools, whether it be a lawnmower or just some clippers, is going to make your life easier no matter what. So with that being said, we want to think about our rakes, and what you want to do is you want to take your rake and you want to rake up any fallen leaves. You kind of want to... Any branches, because that's what's damaging the blade as well. Also, make sure there's no junk in the yard that when that blade hits, it's causing the damage to the blade. But also raking,
old tools, kids' toys.
Also, yeah, exactly. Also, raking will help get when you bring up that debris, it allows the air to get to your grass,
right?
Especially in the spring.
But raking and dethatching are two separate things. Raking is basically taking the surface material off. Dethatching is a way of removing the dead material at soil level. Now, here's the thing. If you have fertilized your lawn and you start dethatching it, you are going to see an incredible increase of green growth because a lot of that fertilizer cannot get to the root zone because you have such a thick layer of thatch of the dead foliage material continuing to lay on the soil, working to be biodegraded and composted. So you want to remove that thatch. There are machines to do it. You can do it manually, but a machine, if you feel that is necessary, that would be the way to go. Rent one for half a day, and you can use that material and throw in your compost pile, assuming that you've used organic fertilizer and not a weed and feed that has a 2,4-D chemical in it, which will attach to water molecules, grass clippings, and poison your garden. That's a 2,4-D. A weed and feed, if you use weed and feed on your lawn, do not put this stuff in your compost because it will toxify your compost, and then anything you grow, anywhere you put that compost, it will toxify it with that chemical.
Right. And you definitely want to do this in the spring because you have that growth that has gone dormant over the winter, and now you are ready to dethatch and kind of it's kind of like when you exfoliate your skin, you're like exfoliating your lawn.
Right.
Right.
Now,
so then there's aerating,
which is different than dethatching. Thatching is removing that dead material at soil level, essentially. Aerating is removing certain amount of material, soil, creating little holes to allow oxygen and water and fertilizer essentially to get deeper into the soil. So you can have a commercial aerator where it takes like 1/2-inch plugs out, or there are people, it's like these giant spikes you put on your shoes and you walk around. That's a cheaper way, maybe not the most effective way, but this is a way.
That's a thing?
That's a thing.
I had no idea.
This is a way to aerate the soil, to loosen the soil up a little bit. And then once you aerate, you can go in and, top dress it with compost, kind of rake that in to feed the soil that way as well.
Right. And that's definitely something that is going to help your lawn overall. It helps the drainage,
right?
And it's a good idea. Now you want to test your soil, possibly.
We talked about this in the last segment. Get a soil test,
right? And so if you care about your lawn equally about your vegetables, then this is something that you'd want to do for your lawn.
You would want to do 2 separate soil tests. You'd want to do one for the growing area, the garden, and then do a sample area in the actual lawn. You don't want to mix those 2 together because those can be very, very different readings and give you a false positive or false information. So invest in 2 separate, one for the lawn, one for the growing area.
Definitely. So then another option, and this is done by many people, is to mow your grass a little bit higher.
What? But if I mow it low, I don't have to mow it as often.
Right. But however, if you do live in an area that's prone to mosquitoes, this is not something you might want to do like at the peak of summer, because if your lawn is higher, it can breed more mosquitoes. But if, you kind of sometimes have to take the good with the bad. Well, but either way.
Yeah. How high should I be mowing my lawn then, Holly?
About 3 to 4 inches.
That's about 2 inches higher than I remember mowing the lawn back on the farm.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. But that a lot of people will do this because it provides the best growth
for
their lawn.
And whether they've seeded the lawn or brought sod in and created a lawn, you do this right. And we've all seen these lawns in homeowners associations and even just in the neighborhood. Nobody walks on it. Their signs don't walk on it, but it looks like a cloud of green. It looks like you could just, your feet sink into it 3 or 4 inches and it would be the softest thing you ever did walk on.
Right. It's like the golf course grass, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we all have seen this picture perfect. You want to walk on it just to know what it was like.
I mean, you could if you did it fast enough.
Well, we won't get into that. We don't advise that.
So yes, the mowing high, it does help keep, it provides deeper roots. So when you mow shorter, you do end up with shallow roots. So you're making the plant basically work for its nutrients, right? Yeah, that's exactly what you're doing. So then there's the option of overseeding. And so what you do is when you overseed is basically you are putting more seed there than what is recommended on the grass seed bag or box or whatever. And this way is what happens is that you are allowing the grass to grow in quite thick. And then, but when you do this, you do want to make sure you are fertilizing.
Right. And then you kill the weeds. For people who want a pristine, manicured lawn, there are called pre-emergent herbicides where and this is why we're not putting this in our compost pile for growing use. This is designed that it will kill the seeds, prevent the future seeds to come up of your dandelions, your crabgrass, your different grasses that you don't want, or your different weeds you don't want. It's designed to kill them, but not affect the grasses. Kind of like that weed and feed, essentially, with that 2,4-D. It's a broadleaf herbicide that kills everything but the grass. Farmers use it for pastures to make the pasture, keep the thistles and the lamb's quarter and all that stuff from growing up and overtaking the pasture. We don't advise this. There are organic means in which you can do such. But again, in this instance, the organic stuff for gardening works really good. The organic pre-emergence, which is corn gluten, not so much. I mean, it depends on who you talk to. Obviously, there's something there because they keep selling the stuff, but be aware that if you're going to do it, you might have to go with the actual chemical on this.
I think you have to apply a lot of it, and strategically is kind of what I understand with the corn gluten. But
Corn gluten, by the way, for those who are not aware, that is a byproduct. It used to be, and it probably still is, a byproduct from the beer making people, the breweries. They would squeeze the gook out of the corn kernel, and then the corn gluten is the byproduct of that, and it's sold to farmers for cattle feed. And for this means of pre-emergent herbicide or organic version of that. And then we want to fertilize.
So this is a little bit different than killing the weeds. You are fertilizing the grass to help it be productive, greener. Yep. So typically, if you are looking for a grass fertilizer, it's going to be a high number of nitrogen. That's the first number on your fertilizer bag. So that's N for nitrogen. So it's usually like a 2000 or something like that. And it's going to provide that grass growth and the greenness, and possibly what happens is when you have that, you see that lush looking carpet grass.
Right. And another thing in which we need to work on is eliminating the grubs. And Grub Gone is a perfect product for this. This is one of the tips, but also it works well and leads into the product from Phylum Bioproducts. With the weather warming up, you're going to have to figure out what you're going to do with these beetles and grubs that are invading and can damage your manicured lawn very, very easily.
Yeah, just with spring is here. Summer's right around the corner. You're going to start spending more time outside. And you want to start thinking about those grubs and the Japanese beetles that have laid their eggs. So you want to think about Grub Gone.
Grub Gone can be applied to your turf, your yard, or garden, or around ornamentals to control grubs and lessen the impact those beetles have on your yard this summer. Easy to apply with any commercial spreader or irrigate right into the soil. Biologically created for specifically targeting grubs and beetles and invaders without harming those beneficial insects such as butterflies, bees, and ladybugs.
Right. So you want to go to phyllumbioproducts.com. It is the only non-chemical that works. That's PHYLLOM bioproducts.com. You can use code GARDENTALK10 to save 10% off your orders at phyllumbioproducts.com. For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.